So Jesus talks about in Matthew 17:21, where he says, "This kind cannot go out except by prayer and fasting." And if you ask me, fasting is super underrated when it comes during your walk with Christ, because it's actually so much more helpful than people even realize. Like, it's something people mention, things like, "Oh yeah, I fast for God," and they say that like once a month or something. But people don't really talk about how important it really is. How important it is to fast for God. And and if you guys don't know what fasting is, I should probably explain that. But fasting is basically cutting off all types of food or just specific types of food for a certain amount of time. So this could be, I mean, you don't have to literally copy some people in the Bible, because some people, especially Moses and Jesus, they fasted for longer than a month, which is crazy to me to this day. I still don't know how they did that. But this doesn't necessarily mean you have to do that as well. You could just, like, especially if you're a beginner, like when I first started fasting, the longest I did at the time was like only 2 meals a day. But then up to dinner time, I just like couldn't go further. But when it comes to when it comes to fasting, you can literally just do that, like 1 meal a day, two meals a day, or you could go for a whole day, or 2 whole days, 3 whole days, a week, if you will, however long you want. Just make sure you do check with your doctor before you do something like that, because it could be very dangerous too. Now, as I was saying before, fasting is super important in our walk with Christ, and it's something we need to take a lot more seriously. Because it's not simply just cutting off all food for a certain amount of time and that's it. Like, that's starving, not fasting. But fasting is really a great opportunity to grow closer to God in a way you can't in any other way. And like, if you look into the Bible, like especially the New Testament, it talks a lot about not walking by the flesh, but walking by the Spirit. Because the flesh will always want to sin. It'll always want to rebel against God, because sin always feels good to the flesh, right? And like in Galatians 5:16, it proves this. Walk by the Spirit and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. And so by fasting, we basically are deliberately choosing to walk by the Spirit and not by the flesh. Because if we walk by the flesh, the fasting is literally going to be torturous, you know? Because if we just continually focus on how hungry we are and how much our flesh is craving just like a small bite of food, then yeah, like the fasting is it's gonna feel like torture, you know? But if you walk by the Spirit, if you focus on feeding your spirit, like spending more time with God and reading His Word, praying, uh, like especially praying, like prayer and fasting, there's a reason those two go together. Like, prayer is like, it's so great because when we're fasting, we're at such a vulnerable state before God. And seriously, God loves this. He loves it when we're so vulnerable and we still come to Him anyway. And fasting, because we're so vulnerable and we desperately want to eat, but we also want to stay loyal to God and stay loyal to the fast, prayer is such a great thing for that, because by praying, we're not like saying the most impressive prayers. Like, God never asks us to do that. But prayer is just, it's honestly speaking to God as if you're just having a conversation with Him and saying to Him, like, God, I am starving. I don't want to do this, but I know I have to do this for you. So please give me strength, give me courage, give me clarity, give me a discipline, all that good stuff. And fasting, I kind of got off point for a minute, but fasting is so good for killing the flesh, as it also says in the Bible. I can't remember where it says that exactly, but I know it implies that, at least. And because by not feeding your body's not getting stronger in any way. It's becoming weaker. But what you are strengthening by fasting is your spirit. and your desire to walk with God instead of continue living in sin. By not eating or satisfying your flesh in any way, your spirit is slowly but surely like taking back control of your body and your desire for God. As long as you continue to like spend time with him, like reading his word, praying, staying loyal to your fast, all that good stuff, your desire for God grows so much that you stop living for the flesh, or at least as much. Like, unfortunately, I wish I could say this was a one-time thing and then it would just fix everything else. Unfortunately, it's not. Like, you have to do this continuously in order to get results, but it's worth it. It is worth it. Because your desire to live for God grows so much stronger, like during your fast, your desire to live for the Spirit gets much weaker. And you at least like start to stop living for the flesh. You stop doing certain things that you know don't please God, but they only please your flesh, so you cut them out. And or at least you fight your flesh harder, you know, especially since when you try to overcome sin, it is incredibly hard. But fasting is really good to help with that, because by fasting, because you're focusing on the Spirit and not the flesh, you're trying to focus on God and not yourself and not sin. You start to like really fall in love with God more. And because like you're not focused on sin at all, you start to fall in love with sin less. And by not eating altogether, your body becomes so desperate and it becomes so weak. I mean, this is really depending on how long you fast for. Like, even if it's just 2 meals a day, like even then it's becomes very desperate and very weak to the point where all you can think about is just your favorite food to eat, which it's happened to me at least, like that's for sure. But if you really keep your eyes on God and you don't focus on food to strengthen you and give you the strength and discipline and courage and clarity to keep going, you instead rely on God. And this is why prayer and fasting they basically essential. When you're fasting, you have to pray. Like fasting and prayer, they like go so well together because like by praying, you're not simply just talking to God. You're feeding your spirit. You're not like not feeding yourself by fasting. You are feeding yourself, but you're taking care of the more important part of you, which is your spirit. Because after you die, your flesh is just going to be dust and bones. But your spirit will live on forever, no matter where it goes after you die. And so by fasting, you're feeding your spirit and you're focusing much more on God and growing with God and growing your relationship with him and learning to love him more, like not just as a powerful godly being, but as if he was simply just your father, because he is. As he was your best friend, as he was your first love, because he is all of those things. And fasting is just so great for that. Fasting is also incredibly good for your body, because by not eating, because your body is so used to getting fed continuously and constantly, by not feeding it like as much as you normally do anyway, your body basically doesn't have a choice except to eat itself to keep you alive, which may sound gruesome, I know, but that's what it does. And because it's eating itself, it's getting rid of any potential cells that don't belong in there, don't belong in your body. And so fasting, ironically, is making your body healthier than if you were just eating every single day. But the part no one really talks about when it comes to fasting is how much it sucks. Like fasting is, it really is torturous not to feed your body like whenever you want to, especially if you already fasted for like a day or two even. Like, man, the urges to eat something, even if it's small, They are so incredibly strong when we're fasting, it is ridiculous. Or actually, it's not ridiculous because we're so used to feeding our body like many times throughout the day, like 3 times a day, but potentially more. Like, I'm guilty of that. May not look like it, but I am guilty of that. But just like Jesus was in Matthew and Luke chapter 4, we're constantly tempted throughout the day when we're fasting. And because that's exactly, the devil targets fasting a lot more than we realize, you know? Because fasting is quite literally killing our flesh so we could focus on God. The devil doesn't want that. He wants you to focus on just your flesh. Like, no. If it feels good, do it. Like, don't focus on God. You can do that later. Focus here. Focus on like smoking this little thing, drinking this amount of beer, going to a bar, hanging out with friends, hooking up. Like, the devil always wants you to focus on your flesh, not on God. And he's not going to tell you like, no, don't focus on God at all. He's just going to say, focus on him later. Focus on him later. Like, just do this later. Repent later. Pray later. Read the Bible later. He's always going to say that, but the devil is a lie. I don't know. It's a song that came up. I don't know what it is, but just like Jesus was tempted in Matthew and Luke chapter 4, we must stay completely loyal to our fast and go all the way until our goal is met. No matter how badly we want to eat something, no matter how badly we want to just end the fast whenever it gets hard. Last thing I want to talk about before I end this video, but when we fast, we have to have a goal in mind. Why exactly are we fasting? And when you look at characters in the Bible, they all fasted before something big happened, and none of it was for no reason, you know? And like Moses, he fasted for 40 days before his ministry, not before his ministry, before the 10 Commandments. Jesus, he fasted before his ministry, also for 40 days. Esther fasted before confronting the king to save her people. And Daniel fasted. Like, they all had a goal in mind. So really ask yourself, why are you fasting? Like, are you trying to overcome an addiction? Trying to cut out certain foods and drinks that aren't good for you? Are you trying to see how long you will go without food? Are you trying to grow your relationship with God? Really, the goal can be anything, just as long as it honors God. And all of this may seem overwhelming, and you may feel like you have to do this or else God will just throw you away. But no, that's the thing about our walk with God. We never have to do anything. We never have to do it. But the reason we as Christians do these things is only to glorify and honor God's name. And that's it. So anyways, that's all I got for this video. I know it's a bit... Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys for watching. This was quite a complicated topic, and I really recommend you guys try this out, as sucky as it is. But it is worth it if you grow so much closer to God, because I know I have. Like, how much I fasted, it is worth it. So anyways, stay blessed, guys. Love y'all. Bye. By not eating or even satisfying your flesh in any way, and this like includes, sinning, right? Like things like, drinking, smoking, like pornography, all that good stuff. Bad stuff. I should say bad stuff. We can go like a long time without food, but obviously, like, we still need that stuff. Oh, it's like, come on. People know this, man. People know this. Calm down. I need to calm down. Boy, oh boy. This is going to be a long video. It's like I'm stuttering too much. Okay. What? I didn't even press the record button. I just did this.